Welcome to the Multifamily and More Expert Series, a series where we talk to experts about one specific topic that they can really give us a lot of insight into. This series is brought to you by CF Asset Group. Check us out at www.cfassetgroup.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tons of great content being developed all the time there. Today, we're bringing in Mr. Ian Lobas. He is an investor, realtor, coach from the Baltimore metro area. Also runs a networking group down there called Baltimore Metro Multifamily and More. And he is, I consider him to be an expert in the field of, in the area of mindset. He's been a coach to me, and he's got some really great insights, I think, on a lot of topics that are relevant to the investment game. So Ian, welcome. Any more you want to introduce about yourself?
Thanks, Jamie. Well, I think you said it all, man. I'm happy to be here. Excellent. And I have subscribed to cfassetgroup.com.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I get the newsletters.
Excellent. I love it. Look at you. You're a fan. I consider you a fan.
I am a raving fan.
Raving fan. Even better. Even better.
And I have to give you a plug. The meetup group is spectacularly franchised from your brainchild.
Thank you.
And we are operating it down here and we've had some massive traction this week, and our event next week is going to be sick. And we're going to be, here's our goals. We want to source property within the group. We want to source cash within the group and do deals within the group and get clients out of it and get partners out of it. And it's starting to work, and it's really cool. So I'll give you a little plug.
No, it's huge when leveraged appropriately, and it's something that you really dove into. You dive into consistently. I really have seen value on my end. I'm sure everybody will that runs these groups. So
totally.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right, so let's talk about mindset. So you're an investor. You've done a lot of things in real estate, probably everything in real estate. You got 100 plus units that you're managing and all that, or that you own and manage and all of that good stuff. I've always been a big believer that everybody in the real estate investment space is mindset focused. So when you get into this, you get excited, you start doing some things, you put together a list of things you want to get done, meeting with people, networking, raising money, all of these things, and your to-do list grows and grows and grows. Then at a point, a lot of people get to this place where they got a lot of stuff to do, they can't find the time to do it, and they're just kind of running in a circle because they're doing things and they're not becoming what they want it to be. So the whole concept of being versus doing, that's what we're going to talk about today. So can you give me your thoughts on what does that mean, and how do you move from doing to being?
I think the simplest way to describe it is most people throughout their life are just doing things, and they may be doing things that are serving of them, and they may be doing things that are not serving of them. And when I say of them, I mean of their goals, of their commitments, of what they're looking for out of that period of their life, not life in general, but that period. Because we're constantly growing. I mean, we're evolving machines. And so if we're regenerating our cells, like we're regenerating brain wiring, and that's where being really comes in. And so most people, while they're doing, they're doing to avoid being. And when you can step back and stop doing so much and get into the being format and actually be with yourself and tackle the things that you need to tackle inside and then subsequently outside your being, results show up a lot faster than just doing things. And I feel like doing isn't as sustainable as a model as being is. And so the way that I coach, the way that I advise people, myself included, because it's constantly a challenge. Next level of being, next level of doing, next level of being. You've got to constantly work with a coach. You've got to constantly be educating yourself on what are the things from the past that I am blocking or avoiding in that being, whereas to avoid them, I'm just doing more. And the example would be, well, there's 50 million examples, but a workaholic, someone who's constantly doing stuff, always moving, can't sit still, gotta be here, gotta go do this, on the phone till 10 o'clock, up early, like craziness. Most of the time you're doing that to avoid who you truly are inside. And there's something in you that scares you so much that the progression of doing is keeping you focus. It's keeping the dopamine levels up. It's keeping serotonin up, and you're avoiding dealing with the challenges that you should be dealing with in your being. That makes sense?
It does. So yeah, I think about this for myself a little bit. The idea for me is to be a great father, a great husband, family focused guy. That's why I invest, right? I want to be able to build that time into my life.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I do that now, if I just kind of shut it down and spend Saturday with my family without a list of things that I need to do, and that list always builds, we all feel that someone else is going to be beating me, or I'm not taking enough action toward whatever it is I'm looking to achieve. Like whatever this success measure I have for myself, or this vision I have for myself of being successful is over there, but I have to take constant action now. I have to do.
Right.
As opposed to become the person I want to be tomorrow now and learn how to balance that out. Is that a fair representation of what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. The one big crucial piece we have to constantly look at is, in all of your doing, what are you avoiding by doing those things? So, drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, those are all doing activities that keep people away from their being, because the moment that you stop and you sit in the proverbial shit that you're afraid of, or maybe you don't even know what you don't know, but the feelings inside that you feel when you slow down, or when you're bored on a Saturday afternoon, you got to go out. I'm going to go cut the grass, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to wash my car. Then I'm going to do this. Sitting down and just being with yourself and being present in that moment scares the shit out of most people, because when you're being and when you're in the moment, you actually have to feel you, and you got to feel that anxiety or that depression or the fear or whatever creeps in when doing is out of the mix for the moment. And that's why most people run their lives and they get to 50, 60, 70 years old. And they're like, oh my God, like I just spent the last 30 years doing so much crap. I never slowed down to pay enough attention to my kids and just sit with them and talk with them in the moment. I didn't take the time to play Play-Doh or let my kid put nail polish on, or whatever it might be, because the fear of sitting and being can cripple people. Now, I'm not saying that there's still people out there that can sit with themselves and they can meditate and they can be by themselves. They don't have to constantly do. But your responsibility and your personal accountability to yourself is that you're constantly working to get rid of bad habits that you created from your childhood. And it can be, and trauma doesn't have to be major stuff. It can be the teacher that called on you and you didn't have the right answer, and all the kids laughed at you in school, and from that moment it snapped and said, your brain went rewire, not happening again. That was painful. From now on, I'm not speaking up for myself. I'm not smart enough. I'm not going to answer that question. And you literally build that into everything in your life unconsciously, because that's how your brain wired to keep you safe or feeling safe. And it could go to deep, 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 hardcore trauma as well, but trauma doesn't have to be deep or crazy.
Sure.
It can be the one time that your mom, took a toy from you and gave it to your brother, and you went, I'm not loved as much as someone else. And then you start to devalue yourself inside. Now I'm getting a little deep on that, but what I always encourage people to do is get into a program like UPW does it, just on a grand scale. I'm a huge proponent of Landmark and the Landmark Forum and the Landmark programs, because they're very small, they're very intimate, and they box you in to your being. And they basically will lead you through to get to like literally the present moment where nothing exists from your past and anything is possible for your future. You gotta be in your shit to be able to do that. And you gotta be able to create habits around personal development, growth, personal responsibility, pushing yourself, facing fear, moving through it to get out of it. You've got to be able to do that in order to get what you want. Now you take that into, let's say, the investing world. Who you're being is a direct result of what you get from investing, right? Totally. Yep. Now, just to clarify, I have 100+ units that I own, a fraction of on my own. The rest of them are with partners. Now, how did I attract those partnerships into my life? I didn't go out and beg for partnerships. I attracted those into my life by who I was being. And one of the main beings or types of being that I am is of service to other people. So the way that I attracted those into my life was to be of service to, like, our friend Phil, and Phil came to me and said, hey, I'd love to bring you in on this deal and big unit apartment building. And I said, yeah, absolutely. What can I do for you? Or who can I be for you? And he said, you can be supportive and you can do by giving me money. And I said, okay, cool. Awesome. Like, right. I can be and do both those things. No problem. And so, like, I talked to so many investors, and our main business is, we were real estate, standard retail team, buying and selling of primary residence. And then we also have on the other side of that, a full investment division where we help investors purchase their next flip or their next rental. And then we take them through the whole process. And then when they want to flip it, we put it back on with our retail team and we send it out. Reason for me saying that is I coach a lot of people who are trying to get their first deal, or they got their first deal 5 years ago and it ended bad and it sucked. And all they want to talk about is the story around what happened versus who they were in those moments where they made decisions to purchase that property, who they were in the moment that they made that decision to go with that money lender, that contractor, schedule or structure the deal like this, not protect themselves with an LLC, whatever it might be, split it up. And you're like, well, who were you being back then? And most people are like, what are you talking about? This is what I did. And I'm like, I get it. And that's what happened. And at the same time, who were you back then? Who was making those type of decisions that you would not make today? Because if you're nervous about getting into real estate investing again, based on that past, you got to think, yes, you can do different things today. And yes, you know what you might not have known back then. And who you're being today is going to severely help you attract the right people in your life, or the next level people in your life, so that you don't make those same choices or those same mistakes if they were a mistake. And that's an eye opener for people. They never think about, who am I in this deal? They just think of, what do I need to do to get this deal done?
Yeah. And the doing, maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, but in that example, that's creating trauma by focusing on what you were doing, where so in the future, you're going to invest in another deal. You're like, oh, no, I can't invest in real estate because this happened, right? As opposed to, who was I then? Who am I now? Right? Yeah. Who was I being at that point? That reflection avoids, or at least gets you over the trauma, so that you can focus on who you're being today. Yep. And hopefully, like you said, don't repeat the same mistakes, or, learn from whatever happened the last time. Fair?
Fair. And you can break it down to another level with, what happened was, this deal didn't go the way I wanted it to go. The challenge is, and the reason why people take that and where it becomes trauma, is the story that you put around what actually happened. So what happened was, you chose a lender, you chose a contractor rolled with $50,000, lender foreclosed on you, lost the property. That's what happened. But most people then take what happened and they assign a story around it based on the emotions that they felt then and from their past, bringing into that present moment back then. And they go, well, the contractor was a scumbag. And, the guy, I knew the guy was a weasel and I shouldn't have gone with him. And my hard money lender, he was an asshole and he should have helped me out. And that's story. But really what happened was, you chose the hard money lender, you chose the contractor, you chose to buy that property. That's what happened. Yeah. Contractor rolled with money, hard money lender foreclosed, lost property. That's what happened. The story is what creates the trauma. And then you take all that shit into your present moment. And in the present moment, you go, I do want to buy another investment property, but man, I don't want to deal with that a-hole contractor. And man, remember that lender, he foreclosed on me. He was a real jerk. I don't want to work with him. I don't work with guys like that anymore. So you actually taking what happened and the story that you spun around it, and you take it into the present moment, and then it slows you down. How you get around that is, well, who am I today? Who am I being today? Am I like that person in the past? Is there any evidence that correlates from that guy to this guy? Mm-hmm. And in between 5 years ago and today, what work have I done on myself? What have I grown through? What other experiences have I had? Then you take that evidence, apply it to today, and say, you know what? Ask these two questions. Who do I need to be able to hit this goal? And what do I need to do? And if the B part is, well, I need to be, a little more careful with the people that I choose, and I need to be a person that is trustworthy of other people and cautious. And for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up, I've had that stuff happen to me. I'm going to set up a new checklist of questions that I'm going to ask the contractor and the lender before I commit. And most people in their head are like, yeah, well, the lender's not going to care and the contractor's not going to do that. Well, who do you need to be able to answer or ask those type of questions to be able to do the things you need to do? Nice and easy. Well, I need to be more trusting of myself that this is what I'd like to do. And I need to be this person to attract that level of contractor and that level of lender into my life. And it's simple. Maybe it's not easy, but it's very simple to comprehend that the be and the do has to be side by side the whole time. Or you can just go do, and you're probably going to end up with the same result, except maybe this time you're a little different, but you don't focus on the be. That makes sense?
It does. It does. So what you're wrapping it up with is, presence, right? Being present and aware, asking the question, who am I being? Who was I being in those moments, right? So I think the core word to that is presence.
Yep.
What are is there anything, 1, 2, 3 things tactically to increase your awareness of when you're doing versus being? Is there anything from a mindfulness perspective or from being present that you would suggest people do?
Yeah.
Whether it's tips, tricks, tactics, ideas that maybe you've applied or have coached to that folks can help themselves with, being more present and being versus doing.
So I love the landmark distinction of story versus what happened. And then I also like to present evidence. So when situations scare me or fear comes up within my body and I feel it, I don't just hear it in my mind, but I feel it in my body. I stop and I say, okay, what happened last time? Yeah, the contractor rolled with 50 grand. All right, that happened. What story have I told myself around it? Well, the contractor's a dick and he's this, and I should have known this because the guy drove this kind of car and this, and I go, oh, stop. What evidence do I have in this moment to support my crazy theory that this time is going to be like last time? Mm-hmm. And I actually make a T-chart. One side is evidence I have to support my crazy theory, and on the other side, evidence that is not there to support my crazy theory. But when you're honest with yourself and vulnerable and open, first of all, this exercise is great for the present moment, and it also helps you rewire the habits of protecting yourself, because this time isn't like last time. It could be as identical as you think it is, but you're also seeing it from the lens of what happened before. Or the lens is different today because 5 years later. Does this time really represent last time? Every single freaking aspect? And the answer is no, 100% of the time, because today is a different day than last time. That's it. Mm-hmm. Start there. Did I wake up today and do the exact same thing I did last time? Wear the same clothes, walk the same route, drive the same car, the same mileage on it? No. You cannot support that theory. No evidence to support it. And so in that moment, you have the power of choice to change the thinking and the direction that thinking and those habits take you to. And so, quick, what's the evidence that supports this theory?
Yeah.
What's the evidence that doesn't? And then what happened last time? And is this time like last time? And then you can use the evidence thing to support it or not. And then you can see on paper, like, okay, this isn't real. This is my past coming into my present. And if I am present and I'm thinking about what is different between this time and last time, you got to be different, because you're a being that grows every day.
Yeah.
I guarantee you've learned one new thing in that span of time, whether it was 1 day or 10 years. You've learned one new thing to prove against the theory.
Yeah, absolutely. I've learned that from you, evidentiary support, right? And I've thankfully learned to take those moments and decide for myself when I'm in something, like, especially if something like imposter syndrome is on top of you for that moment, right? Like, I don't belong here. People are going to figure that out. I'm not at this level or whatever. And then you think back on, but I have done this. The evidence supports that I belong in this particular group of people, or with this mastermind, or, that my success has roots. There's something that I did there. Didn't just happen to me or happen for me out of luck. There's evidence there. So I think that's a huge, huge component of it. And in the investing world, getting control of your mind and having control of your mindset, I just think is so essential. It's so foundational. We're going to interview Gino Barbaro later today, and that's going to be the first part of our interview, is talking about mindset. Because if you talk to that guy who's got 1,300 units, multimillionaire, he's doing big things, his foundation, what he roots himself in, is life coaching. He became one because he was so inspired by the coaching that he received. Mindset is so damn important. And I think some of the stuff you gave us today is pure gold as far as people moving themselves, along, as opposed to feeling like they're victimized. So
I'm looking for something real quick that I share. So one of the things that we do in our meetup group is the more part, right? That you came up with. So it's multifamily and more. The more is the personal development, the growing of the being. The multifamily is the doing. Yeah. So what I came up with was what is called in Keller Williams language, it's called a 1-3-5. You can kind of see it. So it's one main objective, 3 goals to achieve the objective, and then 5 strategies for each goal, right?
Gotcha.
This is the one for our meetup. So I the first day in our meetup, I said to everybody, if we're gonna do this thing, we have to know, 1, where we're going, and 2, like, who we're being. And so I wrote out, this one is the doing. Right? I don't know if you can see that. Find deals, find money, and education. Do, be. Because if this is your plan, then you gotta execute from the human being and the human doing.
Yeah.
The other one that I have is all being. And so it's personal development, generating relationships or attracting relationships. And then I forget the other one. It's just not sitting in front of me. So it was weird because everybody in the group was like, oh, this is what we thought we'd be doing today. And I said, well, I want to set everybody up for success, in that if you want to buy 500 units, it's not what you do, because you don't have 500 units yet, or you would already have them if you were the person being the person that could get 500 units.
That's a great point.
So if you want 500 units, this is what you have to do, and this is who you have to be. And let's set up for success in the doing, which is you got to find deals, you got to find money, nice and easy. And in the being, you've got to develop yourself on a personal level to be able to be the person that can get 500 units or attract those into your life. Or when the deal comes, you're going to come up with all kind of crazy stories of like, oh, I'm not good enough. I don't know. I don't have the money, but what if I lose the money? And you're just going to run this racket in your head and this dialogue that does not support your evidence, or your evidence doesn't support. And 2, there's no traction behind that. Mm-hmm. You're just going to slip and sit in place. So going through the being and the doing as an investor, I think, is key. Now, there are plenty of investors out there that I'm sure, and I know a lot of great investors, and they work on both these things. I'm sure there's investors out there that just muscle this out. They muscle out the do. But here's the thing. I don't think they have a ton of friends. I don't think they're loved in the business. And that is a very challenging, sustainable model, because you got to muscle everything and you're not using leverage to, I think, the best of your ability. When you're being the right person, you can use leverage, and people want to do business with you. They love being around you. They want to hang with you. They want to help you. They want to give you their money. They want to bring you deals because you're kind and you're nice, but you're also strategic and you're smart and you know what to do, but they also love the person that you're being within the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. No, I love it. This is great. This is all really good stuff. I think of phrases like working on your business versus in your business, right? That's kind of a different way, but not quite the same as being versus doing. But I've heard phrases like I forget who says this, the I'm a mentality when you're first starting out, especially in a business, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, as opposed to leveraging, right? Other people or other systems to get things done. So being versus doing, I think, is huge. So Ian, well, first off, if you're comfortable talking about this,
sure.
Talk to me about your newest venture. You've got something coming up here, a podcast that you might be working on.
Oh, with Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a perfect being versus doing. That's perfect. So everybody knows Real Estate Rockstars with Pat Hyben. Pat has graciously asked me to host a bunch of them for him and kind of step into that role. And That is purely behind who I'm being and the things that I'm doing. And I don't know, it's kind of like, it's kind of surreal because one of the episodes just came out today. He posted a little early, and I was listening and I'm like, wow, that's me. You talked about imposter syndrome earlier. I'm like, that's me. Oh, do I sound good? Oh, are people going to like me? Like, come on, dude, go back to the evidence. Pat said, hey man, why don't you do this with me? And that's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
And the text said it all. He goes, dude, you did a great job. We decided to release this early. Okay. But guess what my brain did? I don't know about this. I don't know, your mic doesn't sound that good. Oh man. And I was like, God, what's the evidence that I have to support that? Zero.
None.
Zero. And I got through it very quickly. So yeah, I will be hosting Real Estate Rockstars with Pat Hiban. I'm doing a couple a week at this point. They're usually like 40 to 60 days out. So stay tuned. It's on iTunes. Download it. Give me feedback. Let me know if you love it. Let me know anything I can change. I'm an open book. I'm super honest with feedback, and I want to be great at it and deliver great content for people. So I'd love everybody to take a listen, download it, and let me know what you think.
Love it. Love it. Say, how do you have people try that again. Ian, how do people get in touch with you if they wanted to?
It's episode 775 on Real Estate Rockstars, by the way.
By the way, how many downloads of Real Estate Rockstars are there right now?
I don't know off the top of my head. A lot. It's like number 2 behind Bigger Pockets, and everybody knows Bigger Pockets. So get right down to the second, and that's Pat, Real Estate Rockstars.
It's big. So getting in touch with you. How do people get in touch with you?
So through our website, massivepropertygroup.com. There's like 50 websites, but they all point to massivepropertygroup.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I don't remember my handles. Somebody made them up for me, so I don't know. You'll see a picture of me. It's probably with my daughter. That's how you can find me. DM me, private message me. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to lend, whatever expertise I have. I'm happy to share.
Cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So like you said before, multifamily and more, this is on that more side that we wanted to talk about today. And I appreciate you coming on. I think this was great content, and best of luck with the podcast. And we'll talk soon.
All right. You can also email me, ian@mpg.team, massivepropertygroup.team.
mpg.team or mpg.team. Got it. Massivepropertygroup.team.
Team. Yeah.
Got it.
Dude, this has been awesome, man. I really appreciate you bringing me on.
Of course. No, I appreciate you bringing this kind of content.
Yeah. I hope it was easy enough to understand, a little more complicated so it scares you to take action. Remember, make fear your tailwind instead of your headwind, and you'll always move into fear and out of it.
Wow. Mic drop to end it. Mic drop.
Well, I'll move the mic away.
There you go. Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you again. Thanks, and appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right.
See ya.